Brody!
How's it going? Hi, welcome to Basics. I'm Jade.
And I'm Dani. We are sex educators with Enchantasy's Intimate Boutique.
And in our free time, we spend way too much time trying to figure out how to get our screen in focus.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, talking to you today about a product, something that is very, very close to our bits.
That was good. I didn't see that coming. That was really funny.
almost any time we are doing the bang or the do.
Like 33% of the time.
We do use silicone a lot, I guess, yeah. But as far as just general recommendations of a water-based lube,
that was sideways.
Sorry, it was sideways. There it is.
Alright, so this is Divine9. We realized that we hadn't done a review on it yet.
Yeah,
we were very confused.
I think I had probably
like,
the same reaction that
what?
you had trying to describe it to me on the phone. I was just like, the second you said, we're going to do it on Divine9, I was like, why?
Why?
Like, haven't we had like 3, and then it's just, yeah, we're going through it, and it's just like, I think we might have mentioned it in other videos, probably, but I don't know if it was ever a matter of like...
an actual review video?
So, yeah. Divine9.
So some noteworthy things. We use lubricant every single time that we have sex, except maybe once in a blue moon, because we just need it. It's necessary for us to have coitus.
And even past that, like for anybody who's in that typical like basis of like, I don't ever need lube. That's fine. Everything's going to be different for everybody. What I just still always recommend, like, try it just to see if you like it. I know a lot of people, one of the reasons why they don't try lube is because they get a bad lube to start with, and then they're like, oh, well, that's worse than not having lube, and then things can go bad. So, like, this is just an option for the sake of reducing risk of, like, essentially just pelvic floor pains in regards to its relation to, like, abrasions of the skin from like friction.
There's got to be some way to like mount it so that you can see it the whole time we're talking about it. So some noteworthy things about Divine9. It's got like 5 ingredients: water, saccharin, which is a sweetener. Is it staying?
Yeah, I just can't move.
Okay, so it's funny that it's staying because I need to read the ingredients.
Oh.
So water.
That effort.
Seaweed extract, which is carrageenan, we'll talk about in a second. Propylene glycol, saccharin, and citric acid. That's just 5 things. And with so many lubes in the market these days that have like 30 ingredients, if you want to go minimal without necessarily going organic, this is a really good option. Like we said, it's water-based. It doesn't have any glycerin.
That's what was
or parabens, so it's really good for sensitive skin.
Which, in regards to parabens, there's plenty of options out there, but at times it just feels like you don't have really any choice with that in your lube. Just so many of the bigger companies just always have it in there, so it is always nice when somebody have it taken out.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, citric acid. It's when you hear acid, it sounds all dramatic. It's just a preservative. You can't feel it at all unless you're allergic to like oranges and stuff. Then I wouldn't use this lube.
Okay, so talking about that seaweed stuff, what was that magical word? I'm just gonna put it in.
Okay, well I don't know how to actually pronounce it. I've heard it a couple different ways. It's kind of like Kegels and Kegels. It's carrageenan or carrageenan. Like he said, it's a seaweed extract. And they're doing, this particular brand, they're doing research on it right now. It's blocking HPV in lab rats, which is really cool. But they're just got funny.
I'll take over. Take out. So the thing that's actually kind of interesting about that is how it's working is that it's not so much a like seek and kill the bad or anything. It's almost like a barrier method if you think about it. What it does is actually bond to the receptors of HPV so that it can't like transfer to other cells. So it's not necessarily killing or removing, it's not a cure, it is just a preventative measure.
And so we're not saying that this lube is a safe sex barrier method, we're not saying that this lube works to prevent HPV. We're just saying that there's research that
going
is
into that.
Yeah, that's coming back with good results. So maybe something down the line.
Yeah, down the line, it might just be something that they start applying to like all condoms or
That'd be
just
cool.
anything. Now, one weirdly specific question I've gotten on this one. Yes, it contains an extract from seaweed. It is not like weird scented or flavored.
It smells a little sweet, but that's
like
about
almost
it.
Yeah, but like I get the seaweed question a lot.
Oh, is it gonna taste like sushi?
Yeah, no.
If it tasted like sushi, we wouldn't be having it. I love sushi, but I hate the seaweed. I hate rolls.
See, like, no. I just imagine, like, it would just, I don't know why, just for me, it's just, like, that just seems like a really off-putting, like,
ew.
Yeah, like, just, that texture for sex is just not, yeah.
Can we, transitioning.
Yeah.
So as far as the lube itself, let's get into the less sciencey bit. It is a liquid water base, so it's not super thick. Let's see. Can you see? Okay, I want to make sure that. Okay. Well, actually, one cool thing that happens when you use citric acid as a preservative is that the part that's right at the entrance dries out a little bit and creates kind of like a gummy thing, which is really fun to play with. But not really fun for sex. So, trying again. So it's nice and liquidy. It runs really well. It's got a little slight amber color to it. But what I love about it is that it doesn't get sticky at all. I do not have time for sticky lube. No. And then it lasts a really, really, really long time. So you can see it's not doing those like long strands. It'll do like a little one, but it won't stay.
So it's got a fairly light viscosity to it, which is generally a little bit more kind of better received typically in regards to like information from within the store. We see that typically is more welcomed by our vulva owners for the sake that it offers a little less like friction. What?
It's still going.
Oh, still going. It's like the Energizer powder. Now, something we did say about the sweet taste to it, like just to kind of show, it is kind of a weird like thing. I wouldn't recommend it as like a general like flavored lube, but if it's a matter that things just go in that direction.
Oh no, something got in my mouth.
Yeah, like versus a lot of lubes out there where they are kind of just revolting the taste. This one's nothing. But yeah, with it, I mean, when I'm talking about being more so preferred for vulva owners, though, it's still a perfectly fine lube for like
other
penile
things.
Stimulation.
Not really the best for anal. For us, we don't think it's
usually
thick enough.
Thick or
silicone.
Silicone, yeah.
My hand is cramping. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, buddy.
Another cool thing that makes it really unique is that it meets a lot of the standards for being trying to conceive friendly or TTC friendly. So what that means is that it doesn't slow down or kill sperm like a lot of other lubes do, and that's because it has a couple different things. So it's glycerin and paraben-free. It doesn't warm, it doesn't cool, so it's not going to kill the sperm that way. It's also got a low osmolality, which means that it's not going to take a bunch of moisture from the cells.
Did you remember what the osmolality was?
It was like 520 to 720, so it's
so it's within a good range for...
Generally anything under 1,000 is considered really, really good for
so,
lube.
like for vulva, for internal on the vaginal side, it's going to be a little bit hyperosmotic, so as it dries, it actually takes moisture away from the surrounding tissues, which it's pretty close, so it's not going to be too terrible. It is a little bit hypoosmotic for the anus in regards to use, so kind of dialing back to what we said. It's not necessarily really targeted as an anal lube, so.
But it'll moisturize. So if you're dealing with vaginal dryness, it's not going to aggravate it like KY or Astroglide would. It also has a pH of anywhere from 5.5 to 7. So it's kind of pH neutral. It's a little higher than the natural vaginal pH, which is about 3.2 to 4.2, depending on who you ask.
Something I want to say on that too, just because I don't think we've talked on the topic in a while.
Sure.
Just kind of as a refresher, because I think we talked about osmolality. I think we have. If we haven't, the thing that we're talking about is essentially just the concentration of like how much stuff is in the water, and then it can kind of, it's a weird idea, but on a cellular level, it affects like essentially the atmospheric pressure of the cells, so it can affect the membranes.
It has nothing to do with osmosis, Jones.
Yeah, but what we're talking about as far as the hypo and hyper, ideally you want something to be isoosmotic. The just downside, it's really hard to get anything perfect for it to be isoosmotic because all these molecules are still moving around, so at any given point they can clump up or spread out, so osmolality is constantly
So a little bit of
changing.
vocab. Hypoosmotic osmotic means that it gives water to the cells. Iso means it's neutral, and then hyper means it takes it from the cells. But again, this is really, really, really good compared to a lot of other lubricants.
Yeah, there's one that I think the highest I saw was a rating of like
10,000.
10,000. So that one was bad.
All kinds of not.
I think one that was actually really highly recommended by doctors to actually fight vaginal dryness was actually like in
2,000?
the 3,000 something.
Yeah,
like
so you generally, if you can get something under 1,000, you'll be okay.
Back to this.
Sure.
So.
Oh yeah.
The other thing that I kind of really like with it, it has like just some design features. It has a lock on it, so it's not gonna go like fall over and make a mess. It's an actual pump bottle, which is kind of a little bit preferred. Main thing, a lot of the ones with the push top ones, if you're just touching the top, you can actually contaminate your lube. It's not necessarily perfect. Like ideally, I would love if this was like something like completely sealed and like you couldn't get in, but still, this just means this lube's gonna have a lot less higher risk of like bacteria getting in there for any risk of a UTI.
As a note too, we do always get the 8 ounce because it's a better deal.
Yeah,
it does
typically
come in a 4 ounce, and that has the pop bottle or the pop.
Oh yeah, that's top. Right. So okay, no, never mind. I was a little bit off on that, but generally, yeah.
If you get the 8 ounce, you'll be okay.
You'd be okay with the little one too. Just be mindful of
it's also
when to
it's just a
replace
better
your
deal.
lube. Yeah.
And also like with me being so sensitive, and so many lubricants will facilitate infections. It's not necessarily that the lube itself gives me an infection, but it certainly helps. This is just such a great option if you have vaginal dryness and if you're sensitive.
It's honestly one that we'd probably recommend in the store for chronic UTIs and yeast infections fairly often. It's pretty awesome.
The only downside is that if you are allergic to either the seaweed or the citrus, which I think is pretty rare. So, I think that's everything.
I think so.
We got it. We got some science. We got some review. A little bit of everything we do. That right?
Yeah, we gotta hit the camera with the lube.
Bum ba da bum.
I'm really glad I had that lock. That would have been really funny though if I got it like square in there.
So, look at how pretty it is.
So this has been the BASEX of Divne9 lube. Where can they find us, Dani?
Y'all can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
We also work out of Enchantisy's Intimate Boutique, primarily in the Fargo locations, but you can always occasionally run into us out in Burnsville and Ramsey as well.
That's Minnesota. As a
Sorry,
side note.
yeah, I should say that.
You can pick up Divne9 at any of our stores or online as well. So we'll link that in the description. Thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.